Hello, YouTube gamers. It's good to see you again. I'm back with the SMG Meta for Season 5 Reloaded. And unlike the ARs, which are more close-knit right now, there's less options to use on, like, especially on Caldera on the big map. The SMG Meta is actually really versatile right now. There's a lot of different options that are viable. Some are more gimmicky and fun that I'll show you. But a lot are viable, and you can do well with a lot of different guns. Yeah, getting right into it, I think Arma is still meta even after the nerfs, just like the UGM. Still very good. Still very good TTKs, solid strafe, no recoil. It's just a really consistent option that like I find myself doing well with, and I think you will as well. But yeah, my build, pretty generic, strafe build, skeletal, compact, grooved, hollow point. I did some research into finding which guns need hollow point and which don't. The Arma does. I'll show you some other options that don't need hollow point. But yeah, just the basic strafe build, really consistent, no recoil, good TTK. You're going to do well with it. Going my number 2, which is the best 1v1 in the game. My friend Wag loves it. It is absurd 1v1. Like, if no matter really how sweaty your opponent is, if you are a good player and you're both full plated, you should win with this gun. It has absurd TTKs because with the Vital, it's like 588 to the chest, I think. So really good TTKs, the best strafe in the game. This thing has absurd strafe on it. The only downsides, it has a little bit more recoil, and then it has the 36 round mag. And it's a slower fire rate gun though. So like the 36 isn't like terrible. Like you can definitely, if you're good, kill 3 people in one mag with this, but it's definitely a harder gun to use in trios and quads. But it's like very good 1v1. And if you're good and know how to position and know how to play for your reloads and stuff, you will do very well with this gun. But again, basic strafe build with grooved compact. You do need Vital on this gun for the TTK. You can't like run, you need Vital. Vital is very important on this gun. So definitely run Vital. Make sure you have Vital on. Definitely the 36 round mag is important. Vital is important. Hollow point is important. And then the light barrel is, and all these strafe attachments, they're all very important. Just run this build. It will serve you well. It's very good. Shout out to Wag for that one. He's the one who more came up with that build than me. MB40 I have in my number 3 slot. It's very solid. It's a little weaker because it has the short barrel gets rid of your headshot, but you need it for your chest TTK, which kind of sucks, but it's just kind of how you have to build the gun. And it is not a strafe gun. It's all mobility. That's why you see taped and skeletal in the folding stock. It has very little recoil. I don't think it has a little more bounciness in Arma. Not much actual magnitude, but it definitely feels a little more bouncy. Arma is just a straight beam. But this is definitely really fun. Definitely really competitive. If you're looking for something to switch it up, I definitely recommend MP40. Really solid gun. But like I said, a little bit outside of that top. I would definitely give it like a... It's still like number 3 for me, but I think Arma is definitely a little bit better. And the number 4, which is kind of just like a little bit weaker of an Arma in terms of consistency for me, is the Sten. It has better strafe than the Arma, but the way the TTKs work with the mags and stuff kind of bump it out of that slot for me. But it's still very good. I recommend it. Again, really fun gun. Generic strafe build. Rapid barrel is really important for your TTK. Make sure you run that. Other than that, generic strafe build, strafe stock, compact, grooved, steady, quick. And then on the mags, this is where it's a little weird. A lot of people don't like this gun because the 50 round mag, when you tack sprint, gets up in your face and it's hard to see. I don't mind it personally, but definitely can be annoying and a deal breaker for some people. And if you're in solos and duos, definitely put on the 36 because this will kill even faster than the 50 round. This kills faster. With this, it kills faster than Arma. Like the 36 kills super fast with the Sten. It feels really solid. But because of the fire rate of the gun, it's a higher fire rate gun. This is really hard to use in trios and quads. I would not recommend it. If you're playing trios and quads, definitely go with that 50. Solos and duos, 36 is amazing. Has really solid strafe, solid TTKs, fun gun to use. A bit more like, it has a left pulling recoil, which is a little awkward for some people, especially if you're on controller. But like, solid gun, fun to use. I would definitely recommend it if you're looking to switch it up. And my number 5 spot, even though it's been nerfed pretty heavy, is the PPSH. PPSH is still... So basically, I think the way they nerfed it, the way it plays now, it plays more like a shotgun now. They kind of took away that mid-ranginess of the gun and made it more one-dimensional, but it is still insane in buildings. If you're within... The first drop-off is at 8 meters. If you're within 8 meters, like, you are still going to kill people extremely fast. And in buildings and around, like, those point-blank gunfights, this gun is still very strong. It's going to serve you very well. I switched to oil can because recoil booster now hurts your hipfire accuracy, and I'm trying to keep that hipfire very good. So I run oil can now. It gets me a bit more damage range. That pushes that out to 8 meters. Still a very solid gun. You just have to make sure you're fighting in buildings. It's going to be more of an in buildings gun now. Like I said, past that 8 meters, it's really going to struggle, and the hipfire is worse at range now than it was before because they nerfed it. But in buildings, this gun is probably still very dominant. Like, you can definitely still dominate in buildings with this. It's just hard to use, especially on Caldera, because it's really going to let you down in those mid-range fights. So make sure you pair this with an AR that is very solid mid-range, because you're going to be having to fight mid-range with your AR a lot, because this thing is no longer a mid-range SMG. Very one-dimensional. Plays more like a shotgun in buildings now, but still very strong. This one, shout out to Wars for this, because he put it on Twitter, and I glanced at the stats for it. The Owen, it's a very, very high-skill gun, kind of like the Blixen, but if you hit, I think it's 6 chest shots, because it does 50 to the chest, you kill in 580 to the chest with this. If you hit a combination of 6 shots using the head, neck, or chest, it will kill extremely fast. But if you fail to do that and kill in 7 or 8 shots, it is bad. So, like, you really, really got to get that 6-shot TTK for this to be good. But theoretically, in theory, it's amazing. I don't think it's actually that good, because it's way too hard against good players to hit this really fast TTK. But, like, this build is straight from Wars. It's off of his Twitter. I just shout out him for this, because I haven't really played the gun, but theoretically it's really good. I don't think it's practically going to be amazing. But yeah, if you're looking for something that can be insane but is hard to use, I recommend that. And then now we're more into honorable mentions, because that's my top 5 is Arma, Type, MP40, Sten, and then PPSH and Owen. Owen's more of an honorable mention as well. But these are all going to be more honorable mentions, but they're fun if you're looking for something to switch it up. I definitely recommend these. Starting with the Marco and the RA. The Marco kills a bit slower, but it has no recoil, kind of like the Arma, and has really good movement, really solid movement. So you're looking for something just to switch it up, and that has really solid movement, low recoil, and competitive TTKs, not meta TTKs, but competitive. You will lose to, like, Type and Arma with this gun a lot of the time, if you're both hitting the same amount of shots. But it is a fun gun to use. If you're looking to just switch it up, I'd recommend that. The RA, which, I don't know, I think the damage per mag really, really chalks it, because you do need that 42 round mag to get those TTKs up. But it can't be a kind of like a Sten replacement, but I think it's just kind of worse, because the damage per mag is really, really chalked, kind of like that 36 round mag Sten. And unlike the Sten, where you can kind of run those 50 rounds and it's still competitive, this will really, really needs that fire rate mag to be more competitive, which kind of can chalk it a bit. Definitely, I would try it in solos and duos. I think it's a little chalk for trios and quads. Just another strafe option to switch it up if you're looking for more guns to run. And after that, I got the Fennec and the CX9. These are more ADS builds. There is a hipfire build for this if you go 5 milliwatt. This is a build I used to run on Verdansk. I don't really, the no stock for me, I really need to balance with the recoil control, because no stock chalks recoil. When they nerfed this way back in the day, it adds like 25 to 30% recoil on the MW guns. So, like, I really like to balance it out with like a barrel or like an underbarrel, depending on the gun. So, like, I would try builds like these, because if you run this build on the CX and on a Fennec, where you just run no stock with like 5 milliwatt and Merc, this is gonna be good hip fire, but it's gonna move. I'm telling you that, it's just gonna have recoil. So I like to balance it out a bit. The movement is definitely worse, but I think it makes it easier to hit your shots in the long run. So both these builds, the Fennec does kill faster. So I would say if you're looking for pure TTK, go Fennec. If you're looking for something a little more fun, just to switch it up, CX9 is really fun. Fennec kills in like 611 average. This is like 650. So, like, the Fennec definitely kills faster, but it does have worse damage per mag because of the 40 versus the 50. But they're both pretty similar style guns that are fun, high fire rate, just MW guns to switch it up if you're, like, bored of using Vanguard guns. I recommend both of these. And then after that, I got Cold War MP5 and NW AUG as my last two. Cold War MP5, I think, is definitely overrated. I saw some people hyping up on Twitter, and the gun is just okay. The TTKs are not amazing. I think it's like 680 average, which is not where you want to be. For me, for a gun to be competitive, it needs to be in that 600 to 630 range, which is where all these guns I showed you, like the Arma, the Type, the Sten, the MP40, the PPSH, all of these guns are in that 600, even some of them below 600 to like that 630 range. They're all below like 630, 640, which makes it a lot more competitive. Guns like the CX9 and the MP5 are like 650 plus, which I think puts them out of that meta, but they're definitely still competitive. You can definitely pop off with them, but I wouldn't want these in sweaty gunfights for me personally. MP5, definitely a good option. There's a few different builds. I saw WAG running a build with Task Force, no suppressor, faster ADS speed, and some people like the build where you do Serpent Wrap to get a little better ADS speed. That's just preference. You can play around the builds there. And the MW AUG, which is another like low, bad mobility, but good TTK. And this one, like the Fennec and the MW AUG have better TTKs than the CX9 and the Cold War MP5. This is like 611. I think this is like 620 something averaged, which is definitely better, but it's just the fire rate's low. It makes it kind of awkward in sweaty gunfights. It's definitely not bad, but I don't love it. If you're good, you'll do well with it. If you're like just average, I wouldn't really recommend it. But again, if you're looking to switch up, to have fun, that's what all these guns are for. These guns, these last few guns here, these are to have fun guns. They're not meta, but they're really, really fun, and they're not bad. They're viable, so you can do well with them. Like if you're just looking to switch it up, I definitely recommend any of these last 6. The Marco, the RA, the Fennec, the CX9, the Cold War MP5, and the MW AUG are all very solid. And if you're looking more to stray towards the meta, I would definitely go Arma type MP40 Sten, and then PPSH in buildings, and Owen if you're really like trying to use a high skill gun that kills really fast, but you do have to hit those chest shots or it's bad. It's bad if you don't hit chest shots. I'll show you TTKs in a second. But that's the SMGs. That's my favorite stuff. Like I said, Arma I love, feels really consistent. And then I'll show you some stats real quick. I'm using Sim got updated. I love Sim and True Game Data. I use them both. It's really preference. Some have features that I like more. True Game Data has some other stuff that I like more. I do love the exact attachment data on Sim because it's data mine, but I do love some of the shot to kill stuff and other stuff on True Game Data with the multipliers that I can play around with. You can do both. They both work. It's really just preference. I like both. I use both. But looking at TTKs, you can see that I have this set up with a combination shot here. Is you really see that type 100, 591, really, really good. You see that Arma at 609. You see that MP40. See how my meta range is around that 620 mark? And this Owen I'm talking about, that 711, that's if you don't hit your chest shots. It's really, really bad. If you do hit your chest shots, the Owen is 580, which is insane, like that type 100 is. It's insane, 580. Like, see that type's 588 with Vital? The Owen's 580. But if you don't hit your chest shots, you are going to die because it is bad if you don't hit them. So yeah, you see my meta range here and that. And then the recoil, all of them are pretty beam. Arma and MP40 probably have the least of these. PPSH is definitely going to have a bit more after the nerfs. That's why I say it's an in-building hipfire gun. They added a lot of recoil to the gun. Type, definitely manageable. Not nothing, but not a lot. Sten, probably a little less than type, but definitely more than MP40 and Arma. A little harder to use. Owen, I haven't actually even played. It's just Shoutout Wars, like I said. I haven't played it, but I know it's theoretically good. And then Fennec and all the other stuff, some recoil, but not a ton. But yeah, that's about it. Like I said, Arma meta, other stuff for fundies, and yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching, and I should have a snipe support and sniper video out soon. I'll probably do that tomorrow if I keep my YouTube schedule going. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.